Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody. Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning, Mr. President.
Any questions?
Are there any questions?
Any questions?
Are there any questions?
Okay, let's go.
Okay, let's go.
Okay, let's go.
Okay, let's go.
I'm willing to deal with China, but they have to solve their surplus.
I'm willing to deal with China, but they have to solve their surplus.
I'm willing to deal with China, but they have to solve their surplus.
I'm willing to deal with China, but they have to solve their surplus.
We have a tremendous deficit problem with China.
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 They have a surplus of at least $1 trillion a year.
They have a surplus of at least $1 trillion a year.
They have a surplus of at least $1 trillion a year.
They have a surplus of at least $1 trillion a year.
I think it's like $1 trillion.
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 I want that solved.
And I want that solved.
And I want that solved.
And I want that solved.
No other president's taking it on.
And no other president is taking it on.
No other president's taking it on.
And no other president is taking it on.
I had to take it on the last time. Then we had a rigged election.
I hadn't taken it on the last time that we had a rigged election.
I had to take it on the last time. Then we had a rigged election.
I hadn't taken it on the last time that we had a rigged election.
So China is, they say the market's smoking.
And so China is, they say the market is smoking.
So China is, they say the market's smoking.
And so China is, they say the market is smoking.
China is right now taking a big hit because everyone knows we're right.
China is right now taking a big hit because everyone knows we're right.
China is right now taking a big hit because everyone knows we're right.
China is right now taking a big hit because everyone knows we're right.
They have to pay tariffs because otherwise we have a surplus and they have a surplus with us that is not sustainable.
They have to pay tariffs because otherwise we have a surplus and they have a surplus with us that is not sustainable.
They have to pay tariffs because otherwise we have a surplus and they have a surplus with us that is not sustainable.
They have to pay tariffs because otherwise we have a surplus and they have a surplus with us that is not sustainable.
And we're talking about $1 trillion, right?
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 Of crashing the markets on purpose.
Not of crashing the markets on purpose.
Of crashing the markets on purpose.
Not of crashing the markets on purpose.
There's been some speculation, partly because of the video that was posted on Truth Social, that there was some sort of deliberate effort on your part to have the market sell off.
There's been some speculation partly because of the video that was posted on Truth Social that there was some sort of deliberate effort on your part to have the market sell off.
There's been some speculation, partly because of the video that was posted on Truth Social, that there was some sort of deliberate effort on your part to have the market sell off.
There's been some speculation partly because of the video that was posted on Truth Social that there was some sort of deliberate effort on your part to have the market sell off.
Can you talk about that one?
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 But I do want to solve the deficit problem that we have with China, with the European Union and other nations.
But I do want to solve the deficit problem that we have with China, with the European Union and other nations.
But I do want to solve the deficit problem that we have with China, with the European Union and other nations.
But I do want to solve the deficit problem that we have with China, with the European Union and other nations.
We have $7 trillion already committed to be invested in the United States, building auto plants, building chip companies, and all sorts of companies are coming into our country at levels that we've never seen before.
We have $7 trillion already committed to be invested in the United States, building auto plants, building chip companies, and all sorts of companies are coming into our country at levels that we've never seen before.
We have $7 trillion already committed to be invested in the United States, building auto plants, building chip companies, and all sorts of companies are coming into our country at levels that we've never seen before.
We have have $7 trillion already committed to be invested in the United States building auto plants, building chip companies, and all sorts of companies are coming into our country at levels that we've never seen before.
Had nothing coming in.
Biden had nothing coming in.
Had nothing coming in.
Biden had nothing coming in.
This was a dead country with Biden.
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 Know what he was doing.
He didn't know what he was doing.
Didn't know what he was doing.
He didn't know what he was doing.
And that's now been proven at least.
And that's now been relevant at least.
And that's now been proven at least.
And that's now been relevant at least.
You talked to a lot of leaders this weekend.
You talked to a lot of leaders this weekend.
You talked to a lot of leaders this weekend.
You talked to a lot of leaders this weekend.
Can you tell us, sir, were there any deals made?
Can you tell us, sir, were there any deals made?
Can you tell us, sir, were there any deals made?
Can you tell us, sir, were there any deals made?
Spoke to a lot of leaders, European, Asian, from all over the world.
I spoke to a lot of leaders, European, Asian, from all over the world.
I spoke to a lot of leaders, European, Asian, from all over the world.
I spoke to a lot of leaders, European, Asian, from all over the world.
They're dying to make a deal.
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 And I said, we're not going to have deficits with your country.
And I said, we're not going to have deficits with your country.
And I said, we're not going to have deficits with your country.
And I said, we're not going to have deficits with your country.
We're not going to do that because to me a deficit is a loss.
We're not going to do that because to me a deficit is a loss.
We're not going to do that because to me a deficit is a loss.
We're not going to do that because to me a deficit is a loss.
We're going to have surpluses or we're at worst going to be breaking even.
We're going to have surpluses or we're at worst going to be breaking even.
We're going to have surpluses or we're at worst going to be breaking even.
We're going to have surpluses or we're at worst going to be breaking even.
China would be the worst in the group because the deficit is so big and it's not sustainable.
But China would be the worst in the group because the deficit is so big and it's not sustainable.
China would be the worst in the group because the deficit is so big and it's not sustainable.
But China would be the worst in the group because the deficit is so big and it's not sustainable.
And you know, I was elected on this.
And you know I was elected on this.
And you know, I was elected on this.
And you know I was elected on this.
This was one of the biggest reasons I got elected.
This was one of the biggest reasons I got elected.
This was one of the biggest reasons I got elected.
This was one of the biggest reasons I got elected.
It was exactly because of this.
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 We're going to put tariffs on.
And we're going to put tariffs on.
We're going to put tariffs on.
And we're going to put tariffs on.
We've already put them 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 on.
It's not a question if we will.
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 We're going to put them on.
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 And those tariffs next year will make us $1 trillion.
And those tariffs next year will make us $1 trillion.
And those tariffs next year will make us $1 trillion.
And those tariffs next year will make us $1 trillion.
In addition to the $1 trillion, thousands of companies are going to relocate back into the United States and North Carolina.
In addition to the $1 trillion, thousands of companies are going to relocate back into the United States and North Carolina.
In addition to the $1 trillion, thousands of companies are going to relocate back into the United States and North Carolina.
In addition to the $1 trillion, thousands of companies are going to relocate back into the United States and North Carolina.
Already furniture people are starting to move back in Detroit and Michigan, which I won because of what I said, what I'm telling you.
Already furniture people are starting to move back in Detroit and Michigan, which I won because of what I said, what I'm telling you.
Already furniture people are starting to move back in Detroit and Michigan, which I won because of what I said, what I'm telling you.
Already furniture people are starting to move back in Detroit and Michigan, which I won because of what I said, what I'm telling you.
Car companies are starting to open up.
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 Indiana, a big one, is under construction. As an example, Honda.
In Indiana, a big one is under construction. As an example, Honda.
In Indiana, a big one is under construction. As an example, Honda.
In Indiana, a big one is under construction. As an example, Honda.
Like nobody's ever seen this before.
But nobody has ever seen this before.
Like nobody's ever seen this before.
But nobody has ever seen this before.
So it's unsustainable for us to allow China to have surpluses of $1 trillion.
So it's unsustainable for us to allow China to have surpluses of $1 trillion.
So it's unsustainable for us to allow China to have surpluses of $1 trillion.
So it's unsustainable for us to allow China to have surpluses of $1 trillion.
We will be taking in over $1 trillion over the next short period of time with the tariffs that I've already instituted.
We will be taking in over $1 trillion over the next short period of time with the tariffs that I've already instituted.
We will be taking in over $1 trillion over the next short period of time with the tariffs that I've already instituted.
We will be taking in over $1 trillion over the next short period of time with the tariffs that I've already instituted.
They're already in place.
They're already in place.
They're already in place.
They're already in place.
What's going to happen with the market?
Now what's going to happen with the market?
What's going to happen with the market?
Now what's going to happen with the market?
I can't tell you, but I can tell you our country has gotten a lot stronger.
I can't tell you, but I can tell you our country has gotten a lot stronger.
I can't tell you, but I can tell you our country has gotten a lot stronger.
I can't tell you, but I can tell you our country has gotten a lot stronger.
And eventually, it'll be a country like no other.
And eventually it'll be a country like no other.
And eventually, it'll be a country like no other.
And eventually it'll be a country like no other.
It'll be the most dominant country economically in the world.
It'll be the most dominant country economically in the world.
It'll be the most dominant country economically in the world.
It'll be the most dominant country economically in the world.
That's what it should be.
That's just what it should be.
That's what it should be.
That's just what it should be.
You have to take medicine to fix something.
It's to take medicine to fix something.
You have to take medicine to fix something.
It's to take medicine to fix something.
It's boring. It's already started because they put tariffs on it.
It's already started because they put tariffs on it.
It's boring. It's already started because they put tariffs on it.
It's already started because they put tariffs on it.
And eventually it's going to straighten out.
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 Our country will be solid and strong again.
And our country will be solid and strong again.
Our country will be solid and strong again.
And our country will be solid and strong again.
Musk has said he hopes for zero tariffs between the U.S. and Europe.
Musk has said he hopes for zero tariffs between the U.S. and Europe.
Musk has said he hopes for zero tariffs between the U.S. and Europe.
Musk has said he hopes for zero tariffs between the U.S. and Europe.
Is that a place you'd like to also get to?
Is that a place you'd like to also get to?
Is that a place you'd like to also get to?
Is that a place you'd like to also get to?
Well, the problem is that Europe has made a fortune with us.
Well, the problem is that Europe has made a fortune with us.
Well, the problem is that Europe has made a fortune with us.
Well, the problem is that Europe has made a fortune with us.
Europe also has had a tremendous surplus with the United States.
You know, Europe also has had a tremendous surplus with the United States.
Europe also has had a tremendous surplus with the United States.
You know, Europe also has had a tremendous surplus with the United States.
Europe has treated us, it's a little smaller, but they've treated us very, very badly.
Europe is treating us, it's a little smaller, but they've treated us very, very badly.
Europe has treated us, it's a little smaller, but they've treated us very, very badly.
Europe is treating us, it's a little smaller, but they've treated us very, very badly.
China has, but Europe has also.
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 Europe has been very, very bad to us.
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 Europe has taken our leaders for a ride. They don't take our cars.
Europe has taken our, they don't take our cars.
Europe has taken our leaders for a ride. They don't take our cars.
Europe has taken our, they don't take our cars.
They don't take our food products.
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 They don't take anything.
They don't take anything.
They don't take anything.
They don't take anything.
We take their cars, Mercedes, Volkswagen, BMW. We take their millions of cars.
If we take their cars, Mercedes, Volkswagen, BMW, we take their millions of cars.
We take their cars, Mercedes, Volkswagen, BMW. We take their millions of cars.
If we take their cars, Mercedes, Volkswagen, BMW, we take their millions of cars.
They take no cars.
They take no cars.
They take no cars.
They take no cars.
They don't take our farm product.
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 They don't take anything.
They don't take anything.
They don't take anything.
They don't take anything.
Europe's treated us very badly.
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 We put a big tariff on Europe.
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 But there's no talk unless they pay us a lot of money on a yearly basis.
But there's no talk unless they pay us a lot of money on a yearly basis.
But there's no talk unless they pay us a lot of money on a yearly basis.
But there's no talk unless they pay us a lot of money on a yearly basis.
Number one for present, but also for past.
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 Because they've taken a lot of our wealth away, and we're not going to allow it to happen.
Because they've taken a lot of our wealth away, and we're not going to allow it to happen.
Because they've taken a lot of our wealth away, and we're not going to allow it to happen.
Because they've taken a lot of our wealth away, and we're not going to allow it to happen.
You know what they said?
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 I don't want to say.
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 I'll put it out.
I'll put it out.
I'll put it out.
I'll put it out.
I have to find out if they mind.
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 All I want to do, just so you understand the power of what I'm doing.
I'll want to do it, just so you understand the power of what I'm doing.
All I want to do, just so you understand the power of what I'm doing.
I'll want to do it, just so you understand the power of what I'm doing.
Every country is calling it being very solicitous of us.
Every country is calling it being very solicitous of us.
Every country is calling it being very solicitous of us.
Every country is calling it being very solicitous of us.
Very, very nice.
Very, very nice.
Very, very nice.
Very, very nice.
Being very nice.
They're being very nice.
Being very nice.
They're being very nice.
And we have to be able to justify it.
And we have to be able to justify it.
And we have to be able to justify it.
And we have to be able to justify it.
This is not sustainable.
This is not sustainable.
This is not sustainable.
This is not sustainable.
The United States can't lose $1.9 trillion on trade.
The United States can't lose $1.9 trillion for trade.
The United States can't lose $1.9 trillion on trade.
The United States can't lose $1.9 trillion for trade.
We can't do that and also spend a lot of money on NATO in order to protect European nations.
We can't do that and also spend a lot of money on NATO in order to protect European nations.
We can't do that and also spend a lot of money on NATO in order to protect European nations.
We can't do that and also spend a lot of money on NATO in order to protect European nations.
Cover them with military.
We 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 lose money on trade.
Then we lose money on trade.
We lose money on trade.
Then we lose money on trade.
The whole thing is crazy.
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 I got elected on that basis.
And I got elected on that basis.
I got elected on that basis.
And I got elected on that basis.
Explained it.
We explained it.
Explained it.
We explained it.
You know, the American people understand it a lot better than the media.
You know, the American people understand it a lot better than the media.
You know, the American people understand it a lot better than the media.
You know, the American people understand it a lot better than the media.
The media understands it.
But the media understands it.
The media understands it.
But the media understands it.
Much of the media writes correctly about it, I must say.
And much of the media writes correctly about it, I must say.
Much of the media writes correctly about it, I must say.
And much of the media writes correctly about it, I must say.
When are the next set of talks with Russia and who will participate, and where are we in terms of making progress in terms of peace?
When are the next set of talks with Russia and who will participate and where are we in terms of making progress in terms of peace?
When are the next set of talks with Russia and who will participate and where are we in terms of making progress in terms of peace?
When are the next set of talks with Russia and who will participate and where are we in terms of making progress in terms of peace?
We're talking to Russia.
We're talking to Russia.
We're talking to Russia.
We're talking to Russia.
I'd like it to stop.
We'd like it to stop.
I'd like it to stop.
We'd like it to stop.
I don't like the bombing.
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 Bombing goes on, and every week people and thousands of young people are being killed.
The bombing goes on, and every week thousands of young people are being killed.
Bombing goes on, and every week people and thousands of young people are being killed.
The bombing goes on, and every week thousands of young people are being killed.
It would have never started if I were president, 100%.
And it would have never started without our president, 100%.
It would have never started if I were president, 100%.
And it would have never started without our president, 100%.
Bad things happen to our country, including our open border.
Bad things happen to our country, including our open border.
Bad things happen to our country, including our open border.
Bad things happen to our country, including our open border.
It's really sad when you think that Biden allowed millions of people to come in, and if they find one...
It's really sad when you think that Biden allowed millions of people to come in, and if they find one.
It's really sad when you think that Biden allowed millions of people to come in, and if they find one...
It's really sad when you think that Biden allowed millions of people to come in, and if they find one.
I will tell you, the one, somebody said he's a member of MS-13, not Tren de Aragua.
Now I will tell you the one somebody said he's a member of MS-13, not Trent de Aragua.
I will tell you, the one, somebody said he's a member of MS-13, not Tren de Aragua.
Now I will tell you the one somebody said he's a member of MS-13, not Trent de Aragua.
He's a member of MS-13, and therefore he should immediately be brought back.
He's a member of MS-13, and therefore he should immediately be brought back.
He's a member of MS-13, and therefore he should immediately be brought back.
He's a member of MS-13, and therefore he should immediately be brought back.
MS-13 is just as bad as Tren de Aragua.
Well, MS-13 is just as bad as Trent de Aragua.
MS-13 is just as bad as Tren de Aragua.
Well, MS-13 is just as bad as Trent de Aragua.
So they say, oh, we made a mistake because he's not with them, he's with MS-13.
So they say, oh, we made a mistake because he's not with them, he's with MS-13.
So they say, oh, we made a mistake because he's not with them, he's with MS-13.
So they say, oh, we made a mistake because he's not with them, he's with MS-13.
Bring them back.
Bring them back.
Bring them back.
Bring them back.
MS-13 is a very bad group.
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 Maybe as bad, actually.
Maybe as bad, actually.
Maybe as bad, actually.
Maybe as bad, actually.
How concerned are you about the measles outbreak?
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 There was another fatality today, and what else would you like to see in terms of the response?
There was another fatality today, and what else would you like to see in terms of the response?
There was another fatality today, and what else would you like to see in terms of the response?
There was another fatality today, and what else would you like to see in terms of the response?
I think they're doing reports on it.
Well, I think they've been doing reports on it.
I think they're doing reports on it.
Well, I think they've been doing reports on it.
It's so far a fairly small number of people relative to what we're talking about.
It's so far a fairly small number of people relative to what we're talking about.
It's so far a fairly small number of people relative to what we're talking about.
It's so far a fairly small number of people relative to what we're talking about.
Something that people have known about for many, many years.
Something that people have known about for many, many years.
Something that people have known about for many, many years.
Something that people have known about for many, many years.
Measles has been, this is not something new.
I mean, measles has been, this is not something new.
Measles has been, this is not something new.
I mean, measles has been, this is not something new.
And we'll see what happens.
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 Certainly, if progresses will have to take action very strongly.
But certainly, if it progresses, we'll have to take action very strongly.
Certainly, if it progresses, we'll have to take action very strongly.
But certainly, if it progresses, we'll have to take action very strongly.
El Salvador's president said on X that he'd been invited to the White House on April 14th for a working visit to discuss Tren de Aragua and MS-13 and other ways we can support each other, the U.S. and El Salvador.
El Salvador's president said on X that he'd been invited to the White House on April 14th for a working visit to discuss Tren de Aragua and MS-13 and other ways we can support each other in the U.S. and El Salvador.
El Salvador's president said on X that he'd been invited to the White House on April 14th for a working visit to discuss Tren de Aragua and MS-13 and other ways we can support each other, the U.S. and El Salvador.
El Salvador's president said on X that he'd been invited to the White House on April 14th for a working visit to discuss Tren de Aragua and MS-13 and other ways we can support each other in the U.S. and El Salvador.
I was curious if you could expand more on what some of these other ideas you have for El Salvador.
I was curious if you could expand more on what some of these other ideas you have for El Salvador.
I was curious if you could expand more on what some of these other ideas you have for El Salvador.
I was curious if you could expand more on what some of these other ideas you have for El Salvador.
I have great respect for him.
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 Know him.
I know him.
Know him.
I know him.
Young leader.
Young leader.
Young leader.
Young leader.
And in their system, their prison system, they spend a tiny fraction of the money that this country spends.
And in their system, their prison system, they spend a tiny fraction of the money that this country spends.
And in their system, their prison system, they spend a tiny fraction of the money that this country spends.
And in their system, their prison system, they spend a tiny fraction of the money that this country spends.
So, but he is coming in, I don't know when, but he is coming in sometime over the next couple of weeks.
But he is coming in, I don't know when, but he is coming in sometime over the next couple of weeks.
But he is coming in, I don't know when, but he is coming in sometime over the next couple of weeks.
But he is coming in, I don't know when, but he is coming in sometime over the next couple of weeks. What are you and Prime Minister Netanyahu going to speak about? What are you and Prime Minister Netanyahu going to speak about?
Trade.
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 We're going to talk about the happiest subject.
And we're going to talk about the happiest subject.
And we're going to talk about the happiest subject.
And we're going to talk about the happiest subject.
You know what the happiest subject is.
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 I'm trying to do trade just to keep it down.
I'm trying to do trade just to keep it down.
I'm trying to do trade just to keep it down.
I'm trying to do trade just to keep it down.
There's a lot of things going on with the Middle East right now that have to be silenced.
There's a lot of things going on with the Middle East right now that have to be silenced.
There's a lot of things going on with the Middle East right now that have to be silenced.
There's a lot of things going on with the Middle East right now that have to be silenced.
We had no problem with the Middle East.
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 Everything was done.
Everything was done.
Everything was done.
Everything was done.
We had no problem with Iran.
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 We had no problem with anybody.
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 And then you had October 7th.
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 And that was all because Iran, as you know, was not giving money to anybody because they had no money.
And that was all because Iran, as you know, was not giving money to anybody because they had no money.
And that was all because Iran, as you know, was not giving money to anybody because they had no money.
And that was all because Iran, as you know, was not giving money to anybody because they had no money.
Now they have a lot of 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 money.
So we'll see what happens.
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 Salvador, the president there said he would be willing to take American citizens in the federal prison population.
The president there said he would be willing to take American citizens in the federal prison population.
Salvador, the president there said he would be willing to take American citizens in the federal prison population.
The president there said he would be willing to take American citizens in the federal prison population.
Is that one of the ideas you're going to be discussing?
Is that one of the ideas you're going to be discussing?
Is that one of the ideas you're going to be discussing?
Is that one of the ideas you're going to be discussing? Well, I'd love that. Well, I'd love that.
We could take some of our 20-time wise guys that push people into subways and that hit people over the back of the head and that purposely run people over in cars.
If we could take some of our 20-time wise guys that push people into subways and that hit people over the back of the head and that purposely run people over in cars.
We could take some of our 20-time wise guys that push people into subways and that hit people over the back of the head and that purposely run people over in cars.
If we could take some of our 20-time wise guys that push people into subways and that hit people over the back of the head and that purposely run people over in cars.
If you would take them, I'd be honored to give my...
If you would take them, I'd be honored to give them.
If you would take them, I'd be honored to give my...
If you would take them, I'd be honored to give them.
I don't know what the law says on that, but I can't imagine the law would say anything different.
I don't know what the law says on that, but I can't imagine the law would say anything different.
I don't know what the law says on that, but I can't imagine the law would say anything different.
I don't know what the law says on that, but I can't imagine the law would say anything different.
If they can house these horrible criminals for a lot less money than it costs us, I'm all for it.
If they can house these horrible criminals for a lot less money than it costs us, I'm all for it.
If they can house these horrible criminals for a lot less money than it costs us, I'm all for it.
If they can house these horrible criminals for a lot less money than it costs us, I'm all for it.
But I'd only do according to the law.
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 But I have suggested that, why should it stop just at people that cross the border illegally?
But I have suggested that, why should it stop just at people that cross the border illegally?
But I have suggested that, why should it stop just at people that cross the border illegally?
But I have suggested that, why should it stop just at people that cross the border illegally?
We have some horrible criminals, American grown and born.
We have some horrible criminals, American grown and born.
We have some horrible criminals, American grown and born.
We have some horrible criminals, American grown and born.
If we have somebody that bops an old woman over the head, if we have somebody that is in jail 20 times and goes back and shoots people all over the place and then has a bad judge or a bad prosecutor that do nothing about him.
And if we have somebody that bops an old woman over the head, if we have somebody that is in jail 20 times and goes back and shoots people all over the place and then has a bad judge or a bad prosecutor that do nothing about them.
If we have somebody that bops an old woman over the head, if we have somebody that is in jail 20 times and goes back and shoots people all over the place and then has a bad judge or a bad prosecutor that do nothing about him.
And if we have somebody that bops an old woman over the head, if we have somebody that is in jail 20 times and goes back and shoots people all over the place and then has a bad judge or a bad prosecutor that do nothing about them.
All they worry about is politics.
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 Don't worry about that.
They don't worry about that.
They don't worry about that.
They don't worry about that.
I think if we could get El Salvador or somebody to take them, I'd be very happy with it.
I think if we could get El Salvador or somebody but to take them, I'd be very happy with it.
I think if we could get El Salvador or somebody to take them, I'd be very happy with it.
I think if we could get El Salvador or somebody but to take them, I'd be very happy with it.
But I have to see what the law says.
But I have to see what the law says.
But I have to see what the law says.
But I have to see what the law says.
Okay, what else?
Okay, what else?
Okay, what else?
Okay, what else?
You say, did you agree to lowering tariffs for any of the countries that you spoke to today?
Did you agree to lowering tariffs for any of the countries that you spoke to today?
You say, did you agree to lowering tariffs for any of the countries that you spoke to today?
Did you agree to lowering tariffs for any of the countries that you spoke to today?
What you understand, Jennifer, you have to understand it.
What you understand, Jennifer, you have to understand it.
What you understand, Jennifer, you have to understand it.
What you understand, Jennifer, you have to understand it.
We have massive surplus countries that we're dealing with.
We have massive surplus countries that we're dealing with.
We have massive surplus countries that we're dealing with.
We have massive surplus countries that we're dealing with.
We have massive deficits.
We have massive deficits.
We have massive deficits.
We have massive deficits.
We've got to straighten that out.
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 Because you can't continue to be that way.
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 It's been that way for years now.
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 And it can't go on any longer.
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 And we're the piggy bank.
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 We have all the advantages.
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 Forget pockets for a second.
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 We're going to straighten out.
We're going to straighten that out.
We're going to straighten out.
We're going to straighten that out.
We're going to become a wealthy nation again.
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 Wealthy like never before.
Wealthy like never before.
Wealthy like never before.
Wealthy like never before.
We're not going to let other nations that have been ripping us off, whether it's China or the European Union, with all of the European nations that have just made it's been like a feast.
And we're not going to let other nations that have been ripping us off, whether it's China or the European Union, with all of the European nations that have just made it's been like a feast.
And we're not going to let other nations that have been ripping us off, whether it's China or the European Union, with all of the European nations that have just made it's been like a feast.
And we're not going to let other nations that have been ripping us off, whether it's China or the European Union, with all of the European nations that have just made it's been like a feast.
Look, the European Union was formed for one reason.
Look, the European Union was formed for one reason.
Look, the European Union was formed for one reason.
Look, the European Union was formed for one reason.
You know what that was?
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 To rip off the United States.
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 Put that in your bonnet.
So, put that in your bonnet.
Put that in your bonnet.
So, put that in your bonnet.
I hope you had a good flight.
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 Thank you for your time, Mr. President.
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 本次节目到这里就结束了。如果你喜欢这种英文练习方式的话，可以考虑订阅我们的频道，然后在底下按赞并分享出去。有什么建议，也可以在留言区告诉我们，让我们产出更符合您期望的影片。我们下次再见，拜拜。